Thank you, Dr. Kim. Good conversation. And anytime anybody runs across, now I take notes just about every show, but anytime you run across one that you've listened to and I don't have a note about it, please drop me a line to jeannie@whyagain.org and kind of give me a synopsis of what that show was about and what date and everything, and I'll add it to the notes. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I should probably do that with August 27th and 28th of 2014 because they don't have any
I just made a note of that. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Have a wonderful show and a great weekend.
Thanks. Thank you. You too. You too. Welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. And today is Friday, March the 19th, 2021. And our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And press 1, and that puts you into queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. While we're waiting on Michael to get dialed in, I will just say that, we've had one day with Susan and one day with Cecilia and 2 days with Doug, and all of those shows have now been put into the special MP3s, and so you can go back and just listen to those segments of the shows. And they are awesome about relationships and power person dynamics and the behaviors that seem to run our lives and interfere with pure relationships and give us opportunities to heal. So those are special shows, and they are all out there now, just the segment cut out of the hour that we were discussing. So welcome, Michael.
Well, thanks, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. We've had a pretty interesting 3 days of conversation, just some really sweet places reached. I'm excited about them. In fact, there's a group that a friend of mine does called Marriage Healing, and I'm going to suggest that he put those shows on Facebook. There's some really good interaction and dialogue around the idea of how we create our lives and how we create our relationships. So thank you, everybody, for being here to be part of the conversation. And I'm going to go ahead and just do a paragraph. We've missed a couple days with the intensity of conversation from the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? So I'll do that, and then we'll open the lines and see if anybody from the intensive has an explanation for us of the picture that I posted in the WhatsApp page. We had 3 days ago, I had a plan to present, and I did my plan in terms of a visual drawing, and then when we decided that we'd post it for the intensive participants, it relates directly to what we're doing in the intensive. So we posted the picture in the private WhatsApp page for everybody in the intensive to look at, and I invited everybody to come on the show and to share what the picture meant to them. What is the picture saying? And the person who gets closest to the correct or the accurate interpretation of the picture, we're going to give them it's kind of a contest we created. First time we've done that. We're going to give them a copy of Arameisms, the video where for 4 hours Dale Allen Hoffman and I spoke about restoring the original Aramaic concepts to our language. So anyway, if you are following us along in the book, we're in the chapter on what is projection and externalization, and we're on page 47. And on the second paragraph on page 47, we have been talking to Richard about how projection works, how the culture teaches that projection is taking something that's inside of you and putting it outside of you, and pointing out that that's not projection at all. Projection is when brain cells, when we have content in our mind that are resonated into activity, And that content forms the pictures that we think we see with our eyes. We've never seen anything through our eyes. The eye is a one-way valve. Information comes in, you can't see out of it. It's not a glass, it's not a window. It's impossible to see with your eyes. Silly concept when you start looking at it scientifically. You think you've got this piece of glass that you see out of, or these lenses that you see out of. No. The lenses, focalized light energy that comes in, hits the retina, creates an electrical frequency, causes brain cells to fire. Brain cells firing produce the world of perception. So content of brain cells produces a picture in the mind, converts digital energy into a picture. And so the pictures we see are projections, always projections of the content of brain cells. And then when we pretend that those are really true about somebody outside of us, they're true about somebody other than us, it's a really important point to get, that everything that shows up in your mind, everything that shows up as a picture always tells you more about the source of the picture. And the source of the picture is that person out there. The source of the picture is your own brain cells. So it always tells you about content of your mind. Great piece of learning, like a huge piece of learning to really understand that. When your brain produces a picture that shows somebody doing this terrible, awful thing, and you're all upset about what they've done, recognize that you're upset and the terrible, awful thing are about you, not about somebody else. So we've been talking about that projection externalization and recognizing that we can't change somebody else. The only thing I can change is my own reality. And only I can initiate and carry out the process of changing what's happening in my mind. Our whole culture is living in this projection, kind of akin to the Matrix. So it takes a lot of energy, I've just pointed out to Richard, to keep the lie of projection in place and prevent the truth from entering awareness. Richard says back to me, well, put that way, Michael, I can see that the conflict is my own thinking. I'm trying to achieve an unreachable goal, and I get so frustrated, I exhaust myself. And it's so obvious now, and I see what's been zapping my energy, he reflected. A friend who's a medical doctor recently told me the most common complaint he hears is about a lack of energy. He called it chronic fatigue. I'm starting to understand the source of my tiredness. It's like I've been carrying a 1-ton weight in my shoulders. Richard's tendency to run from conflict provided an example for us to examine the dynamics of projection in his life. I explained, in a relationship based on projection, each believes the other is responsible for the output of his or her mind and carries their hidden, unhealed upsets as a burden. As a result, each mind has a distorted picture of what is actually happening. This distortion results from blockage of truth. The mind projects its own errors onto others and cannot see its truth about itself. So again, when we live in denial, what is denial? That's the act of thinking or speaking as though something outside of us is the cause of what's moving inside of us. When we live in denial, we literally dissociate from the content of our own minds. That is, we hide from ourselves what it is that we don't want to own, what we don't want to look at. Then, when someone triggers what we've dissociated from, we use that very data to produce our brain's images, our brain's picture, literally the world we see. And that mind runs around raging and screaming at everybody else, sure that they're the problem in my life. No idea that it's all done with smoke and mirrors, that it's all an inside job. So the idea of this work is to recognize that and turn the game around. So here we are working to turn the game around, and I hope that especially the last few days have been really meaningful to you in recognizing the dynamics that happen in relationships and changing the game. So, Miss Jeannie, do we have anybody out there with a hand up in the phone queue or a note in the chat room from anybody who wants to share with us from the intensive their interpretation of the picture that I drew and posted?
We do have a hand up. Area
great.
code
Let's say hello.
520. Well, I guess if I unmuted, hand up, and it's area code 520. You're on the air.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is
How are you, young lady?
I am. That I am.
All right.
I'd like to not share on the picture. I want to share about something I'm carrying around.
Okay.
When I was in my mid-60s, my background, I've come from a lot of sexual, emotional, verbal abuse. And yesterday on the support group, Dr. Tim and I were working on the worksheet. And then during the evening, I was experiencing physical symptoms.
Right.
And then
wonderful.
Yeah, it wasn't fun going through it, but I guess
no, it's not fun, but it's wonderful.
But then this morning, I had this thought of remembering when I was in my mid-60s, my mother said to me, "You are an embarrassment to me."
Hmm.
And then from all the baggage of experiences in my childhood about all kinds of abuses, one of which was being tied up in the cellar with rope. Probably the average person couldn't even imagine that.
No.
Locked in the closet.
Can't.
It was pretty horrendous. But so I have internalized I am not okay. The belief system I read about that the baby is innocent. I listen to various self-help groups, and I talk about it. But when I actually, in my world, I don't think the world is safe.
Mm-hmm. I understand that.
Now, explain to me about the projection. I mean, so the projection is, I'm not okay. How can somebody who is your parent say, you're embarrassment to me?
Let me tell you how. They have a reality in their minds, a construct called embarrassment. You trigger that reality in them, and any one of 1,000 different ways you can trigger it for them, and they use that content called embarrassment in them to build their brain's image of you, and they actually believe that you're the source of their embarrassment. They have no idea. I mean, that's exactly what we've been talking about in this particular lesson. They have no idea that they carry embarrassment around, but they, whenever it's triggered, I mean, they might put it into their brain's image of each other, of you as their child, of the neighbor. I mean, people become embarrassed about talking about God. Any object of attention will do if I'm in denial and I can't own my own embarrassment.
Point out, I know the work, doing the work is doing the worksheet. But as I heal, so far as heal the distorted thought system, onion get peeled with each worksheet?
Yes, the lotus blossom opens. Each worksheet, remember that we're talking here about a structure made of thought disorders. Thought piled on thought, piled on thought, piled on thought. And it's literally, actually, this is an analogy that came to me a few weeks ago when I was doing a particular piece of work of my own. You might have been on the show. I was talking about a time when my mother had shared with me that my uncle was present. I was a small child, and I guess I was being, terrible twos kind of small child, cranky or whatever, and my uncle really became enraged and goaded my mother. I was small enough, my mother was giving me a bath in the sink. She told me about this several years ago, something that she really was hurting over that she had done to me in the processing work that we had done. So she's bathing me in a bathtub, and I'm being cranky or whatever, and my uncle kind of goes berserk and forces her verbally, emotionally, to push my head under the water and hold me there. So I had known about that. My mother had intellectually told me about that, but I'd never processed that. And she told me about that 30 years ago or more. But about 3 weeks ago, maybe it's a little longer than that, maybe it's 5 weeks ago, if you go back to the show, I was talking about it, I went back and re-experienced that memory from the point of view of the moment when it happened. I could hear my uncle's voice. I could hear the derogatory things he was saying about me. And it was as though the analogy that came to me when I was talking about it on the radio show, it was as though I was going into my own structure and picking out fish bones. If you sit down to a fish dinner and you're picking out fish bones, well, one by one, I was picking out these thoughts. At that moment, I realized that my uncle, his name was Pat, was my power person, and that he had fed these derogatory thoughts about me. And, I'm less than 2 years of age, so, I'm buying it. So here I am now, decades later, and just like picking out fish bones, I'm going in and pulling those thoughts out and throwing them away. No, that's not true about me, Uncle Pat. It may be true about you, but it's not true about me. And that was my process of cleaning that out. And it was just like, how when you've got a fish meal and those bones, you have to find them. They're so thin you can hardly see them. They're almost transparent. You have to reach in and pull it. Well, that's exactly what I was doing with those thought disorders in my own mind. And ultimately, around this idea of your mother's projection of embarrassment, you'll get to the point in your process where you'll be able to pick disorders that were fed to you and remove them and realize that what was said about you was not the truth. It was just a projection from that power person. So in that experience, I was able to say to my Uncle Pat, that is not true about me. I am not. And thought by thought by thought that I could hear him speaking, I was able to forgive. I was able to release.
So did you actually, in your mind, talk to your uncle?
Yes. That's exactly what I did. Actually, no, I didn't talk to him in my mind. I talked to him out loud. I talked to him verbally. No, that's not true about me. I refuse that thought. That thought is not true about me. And I released that thought.
So when if I'm talking, whether verbally or in the mind, because in my reality, thoughts are things. Okay,
yes.
So it is it's a vibration. It is a frequency.
Yep.
So
and I'm throwing them out.
The higher frequency engulfs the lower frequency and then that is dissolved.
Dissolves it.
Disorder
Exactly.
is dissolved. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's forgiveness.
Okay. Yes. And it's all an inside job.
100%. Now, I may choose, as with my uncle, I could see his weakness. I mean, he's a man who lived to the day of his death. He lived in rage. And I could hold compassion for him and pardon him for what he had done, and in so doing, open the space for forgiveness within me to remove the thought disorders that I had bought into from him.
So when you say you pardon him, expand on what you just said in a different way. Please expand.
Well, in that situation, I could see myself. I would be in the space. If I were, it's not something that I did in this experience, but if I were to go to that extent, if I were to do that part of it, I would then speak to my uncle and say, so Pat, I can see that you're a man who lives in a lot of pain and a lot of rage, and here you are raging, just viciously at a 2-year-old and a 2-year-old's mother, intimidating her. And I can see that you were just plain crazy. And I have compassion for you. I hold the space for you to heal, and I let you off the hook for that. I'll free myself of all judgment of you around that, and I'm letting that one go. So that would be my act of pardoning. Then my act of forgiveness is going in and picking out the fish bones, literally picking out each thought disorder and throwing it out of my structure.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. Yes. As I continue to do my inner work. Thank you. Blessings.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. And have you read my response to you this morning in the WhatsApp posting for the codependence? Oh, good. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's perfect. I'm delighted for you. I'm glad you were in pain. I'm so happy for you because I know that in that space of pain was the presence of love, and the pain was a result of dissolving what didn't belong. And that's a necessary part of the healing process, although, as you said, it's not Dr. Feelgood.
Well, I have been tuning in to the radio station probably since November. And every Tuesday, I have been with this minister, retired neurologist, and and I've been with him for about 7-8 years, and we've been doing work. And just this past week, he said, Audrey, I have something to say to you. And I sat in the chair, and I went to myself, inside me, I go, oh, no, now what? And he said, Audrey, I have to commend you. He said, lately you are just zooming along. And I attribute this to the inner work that I'm doing along with his work.
That's
you.
what it takes. So honored and delighted to be supporting you, young lady, and I acknowledge the work you've been doing too. It's awesome to watch you. The integrity of your process is fabulous.
Thank you. Blessings.
All right. Well, do you want to say, in the intensive the other night, you tuned into the picture and shared a little bit. Do you want to share a little bit about that with our audience, and we'll see what anybody else has got to say about it?
Well, to me, when I saw the antenna, that is the divine source of energy. That is the field of the oneness. It's a formless love. Love is formless. Love is infinite. Love is with everything. Love makes everything grow. And as I allow and am willing to open the gate up and allow this love to engulf me and enfold me, it purifies all the discordant thoughts that are in me as I allow the process to work, because love love is love, and it will just transform everything. And this love goes from source energy, and it is in me, it's in everything else, and it goes through me out to every living sentient being that I come in contact with, because we are all love, and love creates love. And that's it.
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you on that. All right. By the way, a thought, you might want to share the worksheets with your pastor neurologist friend and invite him to join us. You know, have him take a look at it. You know, yeah, you know, if he's acknowledged you for your movement forward, say, well, here's how I'm doing it. Here's the tool, and he'd certainly be welcome to take the tool and use it in what he's doing if he sees benefit in it. And we'd be glad to support him in it.
Yes. Thank you.
Fabulous. All right, young lady. Delight to be playing with you.
Thank you all. Namaste.
All right. Namaste. That word namaste, because you can adapt it just slightly and it becomes have a nice day. So there we are. So Miss Jeannie, anybody else out there in the phone queue with a hand up? I'm hoping we're going to have some responses to this picture that we put in the Facebook group by people in the Codependence and Interdependence Communication Intensive.
There's no other hands up and no comment in the chat room.
Huh. So nobody's got a thought for us on the picture posted in Facebook and in our Codependence Intensive. Well, I thought I'd get more bites on it than that. So, oh well, I guess we're complete with it then. I know that Nene had a little bit to share about it from the in the intensive. Is Nene with us today? Nene, if you will share with us.
I'm not seeing her number. I know she
No?
put some comments in our Facebook
Right.
Codependence page as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and share the visual that I created that I'm talking about, the picture that we put in the WhatsApp, the Codependence Intensive private WhatsApp page. So what I have in front of me in the picture we're talking about actually has 3 different elements in it. I'll explain them to you, and then I'll go ahead and explain in depth what each of them means. Is I have a picture of, at the center of the page, what is obviously a TV antenna and wires running to a TV screen. And then I have a reflection of the antenna itself above the antenna that I've drawn. And so that's the center point of the picture. And then on the left-hand side, I have a picture of a wine glass with lines radiating out from it, indicating that it's vibrating. And I have a stick figure of a person whose voice is hitting the wine glass and causing that glass to vibrate. So that's over on the left-hand side of the picture. And then on the right-hand side of the picture, I've got a circle with a couple of lines on it and the word you. So for anybody, before I go into the explanation of it, anybody else from the intensive want to share with us?
We have a hand up.
Oh, great. Let's go for it.
I think this is Magda, 828. You're on the air.
Hi. I apologize. I am not calling about the picture. I had a difficult time reading the words, and I was hoping that you would redraw it so that I could see it more clearly. So if you want to go ahead with your explanation.
Yeah. The words, actually, you can totally ignore the words. It's the picture that's important.
Oh.
So ignore the words, but just looking at the picture, what's your take on it? What would the explanation of it be? That's what I was really looking for.
I don't have it in front of me right now. From my memory, however, the antenna reminded me of setting a trap for God, and that there's only one way for us to receive the divine love that God is. And there's only one channel. Well, actually, channel is love. And if we're on the right channel, we will receive it. And when we let our fear or hostility be in control of our perception, then we're not on the right channel. I didn't really think about the wine glass. I didn't realize that's what it was. So,
are you denigrating my art?
No, it's my little screen on my phone.
I'm offended by that. Okay, I'll do a worksheet.
Good, because I don't think I could offend you, Michael. You know that's
cool.
Impossible.
Okay.
So,
well, if you remember, you're right on track with your description of the picture, and the TV set is meant to be the reflection or the expression, and that only one, resonant frequency can enter into that antenna and reflect through that television set. The two other components are that I was communicating about resonance and the idea of the stick figure with the wine glass vibrating is, of course, we all heard about the opera singer, that when they hit the right note, it causes the wine glass to shatter. And, we can have a million different opera singers come in that are all wonderful singers, but it's only the one that can hit the right frequency that matches what the glass needs in order to take on that energy. And so the idea there was that the resonance causes that transfer to happen, and there's got to be a proper resonance as the two antennae, one reflecting to the other, the upper antenna reflecting the creator, and that our antenna has to come into alignment to receive that energy, resonance, to reflect it into our world. And then when you go back and take another look at it, where I have the circle on the right-hand side of the page, I was thinking in terms of the cranial structure of the head. That's actually a picture of a head, and the sutures. Some work I was doing with Jeannie recently, we were doing some still point breathing and energy field work, and Jeannie got to the point where she could feel each of the bones of her cranium floating and moving. And if you remember in the energy field work, when we train people at Heartland in the energy field work, the hands-on work, what we're doing is we're opening and giving that antenna the opportunity to realign itself so that it does become the receiver it's designed to. If a lot of people think when the baby's soft spot hardens that the head is fixed, but actually the bones of the head, the spine, the pelvis, the arms, and the legs are actually in continuous motion. They're a continuously self-adjusting antenna system receiving a range of frequencies. And if that antenna is either physically or emotionally traumatized, then it interrupts the range of motion of the antenna, and there's certain energetic patterns that we don't receive. And the whole idea of the training in the Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive, where we do the hands-on energy field work, is to train people to help the antenna to get back to its full range of motion and proper alignment. So all three pictures are talking about resonance, and the equivalent of the TV antenna is literally the bony structure of the head, the spine, and the pelvis that, when aligned properly, when going through their proper range of motion, bring in the frequencies that we need in order to function fully out of love. Otherwise, when distorted, we're not being fed. Like, let's say the doctor goes in and says, "Oh, we have a problem with a person's liver. Their liver's not working properly." The liver may be perfectly healthy, but let's say, and I'm not saying this is exactly what it is because as far as I know, nobody's ever tracked it, but let's say that the bones moving through a proper range of motion in the upper left-hand side of the head, which would be what we call the parietal bone, that movement and its right shape is what brings the frequency in that feeds the liver. And let's say, that kid was 4 years old, fell off a bicycle right on the parietal bone and jammed it up and locked it out. And all of a sudden, at the age of 4, the child started to have a liver problem. Had nothing to do with the liver, had to do with the antennas now restricted, and the liver's not getting the energy supply that it needs.
Right.
And so the whole idea of doing that hands-on energy field work is to help the whole antenna to realign so that every cell gets fed what it needs. And it's literally an antenna, and it works via resonance, just like the wine glass that shatters when the opera singer hits the right note. So that's what ties all of those three pictures together.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Now I don't need for you to redraw it.
There you go. You can go back and take a look.
I will.
I
will.
And just like the opera singer, only the opera singer that can hit the right note, 1 out of 1,000,000, shatters the glass. Only the antenna that matches the frequencies that radiate directly from the creator receive the frequencies accurately and get to express them through our physiological expression, which is represented by the TV. Only when the bones of the structure, which are literally our antenna, are moving properly in the line, do we get a full expression of love that we're designed to have. And what inspired it was a conversation I had with Jeannie after she came out of this session where she was like, and maybe, Jeannie, you want to say some more about that, what was going on with your cranium as we did that energy field work?
It was it was really an experience because I was actually like tapping the sutures where the bones in the head connect or whatever. I was tapping at each of those points, and it was just, after a while, it just felt like my skull actually came up. Oh, it's noisy in your end. Came apart in bits and pieces and was just like floating above my brain, and I could feel it moving. It's really hard to explain that because there's no words for that. But it was definitely an awesome opening, and then there was other parts of my body started like popping and cracking and adjusting and getting back into place.
Yeah, pretty awesome. And then let me add an additional piece to the puzzle. And the idea, Janie's been doing energy field work and still point breathing, for 17 years now, honey? And this was the first time that she'd gotten that full-blown experience of those bones moving, literally feeling float. And you'll recall that a couple of weeks ago, I was in Florida visiting with Dr. John Laurence, chiropractor, who's doing all kinds of different amazing stuff, and he's looking at expanding his office and taking our work in. I was doing some training with some of his people around the forgiveness work, and he wants to integrate that into his practice. And so when I went down, he does all kinds of different modalities, so he did all his, a bunch of his different procedures on me as I was doing a number of the different procedures that I do with him. He's been involved in the work for some 25 years. And one of the things that John does is called NCR. It's called vasocranial release, which is a way, and you've seen me, I think, maybe manga once or twice. I actually very rarely do this, but I think you've maybe been there at Heartland when I've put my finger in someone's mouth and adjusted their antenna from the inside of the mouth. Well, actually, just before Jeannie started to feel this floating thing, I was inside her mouth adjusting the inside to support it in moving. Well, Dr. John takes the whole thing to another level with this thing called NCR. And what he does, and he had done that on me when I was in Florida, is it takes a balloon, a small balloon, inserts it inside your nose, has an inflator on it, and inflates the balloon. And you hear all this crack, 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 crack as the bones, and I'm talking about all the fine bones tight up there in your sinuses, release. I mean, it literally feels like, or sounds like, and feels like, a mountain coming down inside your head as it starts to move. But it's another way of reaching into the antenna and moving it. And my experience, and it's the first time in my life that I'd experienced it, I've done a lot. I've done NCR for years. I started doing that, probably, 20 years ago. And, of course, the energy field work and, everything I could ever find. But I never had that sensation of my cranial bones floating. And when Dr. John, I was doing some still point breathing, and Dr. John did the NCR on me, I got that floating experience of my whole cranial structure is restructuring itself. Whole new level of it. Came home, put my hands on Jeannie, did some energy field work on her, and there it is. She's goes that experience immediately. That to me, which is just a verification. When the Course of Miracles says, when you're healed, you're never healed alone. And it took me 20 years specifically, well, longer than that, because I've been teaching the energy field work, developing and teaching the energy field work for close to 50 years. And I got to the place where I could feel those, literally, each of the bones in my cranium floating. 2 weeks later, Jeannie got the same experience. Remember the story we talk about in the scriptures about the farmer that goes out of the square and hires 2 workers and brings them into the field. And then at noon, he goes and gets more workers and brings them into the field. And at 3 o'clock, he gets more workers. And when the workers are ready to sign out at 5, he pays them all the same. And the guy who went in at 8 in the morning complains. It's like, wait a minute. How come he gets the same thing as I do? He didn't come into the field until 3 o'clock. I've been working in the hot sun all day. It's interesting. The farmer says, what? I decide to be generous, and you're going to use that as a reason why you're going to complain? But for me, that's the power of when we're healed, we're never healed alone. And, you've heard me speak many times about the early adopters, and that energetically, we get to be empowered to pass the end result of what in cases is decades of work onto someone else in a New York minute. And it's just awesome. So it was pretty sweet to be with Jeannie as she was going through that, moving on that level. So thank you for your input, Magdalena. Anything else exciting happening in your world?
Yes. I was wondering if you could hear me. That's fabulous information. I hope you can be sharing that on Wednesday, the group, really. Yes,
okay,
there
I'll
is
do
something else. Good. Well, you could probably just play what you just did, or maybe you want to redo it. Anyway, I do have something else. Let's see. On Tuesday evening, I was that was Tuesday evening. Anyway, I was doing a sleep study, which meant I had to go to the clinic, get all wired up, and sleep overnight.
Right.
And I think you may remember that I have a lot of anxiety around medical procedures and medicine and so forth. And I found that I was having a difficult time sleeping up to a week before I was having disturbed sleep. And of course it was because I was worried that I wouldn't be able to sleep Tuesday night and then the study wouldn't work and all that. So I worried myself so I wouldn't sleep. And so I did worksheets around all of that. And on Tuesday, and then it was suggested that perhaps I would need a sleep aid, which is a sleeping pill, and I decided, yeah, I probably should do that. So the doc gave me a very powerful one pill for that night, excuse me, and I chatted with the clinician who was putting on all the wires, and he said, oh, yeah, you will sleep soundly with this. It will put you out. And I was, oh, okay, good. Well, then, as I tucked into bed, I began to worry about what else that medication might do to me. And because all medications have side effects, and so I was worried about that and blah, blah, blah. I did a couple of worksheets before I closed my eyes, and they were around trusting that everything that was supposed to happen was going to happen, that I didn't need to try to control it or worry about it. I was guided and protected, and everything would be perfect, whatever perfect meant in this situation. And so then I closed my eyes, and here's the weird thing that I want to ask you about. I knew I had a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety, and I often find that I hold my tension in my arms. They're very tight. The muscles are tight. So as I was laying there waiting to fall asleep, I could feel the tension in my arms first increase a great deal, and to the point where I just needed to shake my arms under the covers, and then I reminded myself, this is pretty interesting. I can I can feel it, and I know it's just tension. I know it's just my anxiety, and I know that I'm safe. I know that I'm guided and protected. So that was kind of like the first time, I believe, that I've ever had that. What do you often say? The thinker apart from the thoughts, the
the feeler apart from the feelings. Yep.
Yeah. So is that what it was? I was
sounds
hoping
exactly
that's what it was.
like that, and it sounds like you're getting the benefit of the training you've been doing of your carbon-based memory system. So here, your carbon-based memory is feeding you some anxiety, and then because you've trained it to support you in healing, it's now feeding you support for, and I know I'm protected, so it's okay. And I can start to let go of that stuff. I mean, how perfect is that?
Wow.
That's the fruit of your work.
Wow. It was something very, very different. And of course I now wonder, was that the medication? Was I just high and I was starting to feel weird things in my body?
Well, no,
and
those were specific thoughts. Those were specific thoughts. Medication does not produce specific thoughts. Either the good, the bad, and the ugly. The thoughts come because they're there. And you've been doing a lot of training of your mind to support you in your healing process, and it's doing it. So how perfect. And of course, you've also in doing that training unleashed Ruka to support you on a new level and teach you. And my offering would be that the more deeply you let yourself just soften and breathe in and receive that support, the more deeply you'll be able to just let go of the whole anxiety thing and shift your mind over from fear to trust. It's like, give it a new power supply. It's old power supply from the old world of experience and 1,000 generations of fear, as you shared, that came from, you got really clear with your grandfather. That's the power supply you had been running on in unknown situations. And now you're shifting to a different power supply, and it's confidence and trust and here I am. I'm in God's care. Okay, cool.
That's
literally
really important.
That becomes, it's literally shifting your physiology back to what it was designed to be powered by. The presence of love instead of fear.
And the point you just made about in unknown situations, that's really important, because that is when I try to control everything. If I can just worry enough or whatever, plan enough, take precautions, blah, blah, not anything that's going to work. So surrendering to the realization that, hey, I am guided and protected at all times.
Yeah.
And
you've got Rook on your team.
Yeah.
How much better
And
can
so
I get
everything's
if I can let it in?
Right.
But if I crunch and close off and anesthetize myself against it, it's still going to be there, but I'm not going to be aware of it. So, it sounds like you're opening to let it in, and wow, that's one of the core pivot points of the whole body of work we're doing.
Well, good. It was quite an experience.
Listen to your words and your energy around what you just said, and then listen to it in context of the writing you did and the expression that you got from your grandfather. And there's the shift you've gone to a power supply based in your grandfather's rage and pain to a power supply based in love. It's like, wow. How cool is that?
You can feel that right now.
Yeah.
I can really feel it.
I'm with you.
I thought about grandfather the other day, and I think it was before I actually left to go for this study, and I said, well, Grandpa, we can do this together. And
bring him into it.
Yeah. Because you may remember the end of our interaction was that we agreed that we would walk through life together, hand in hand, and walk always with love. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. How sweet.
I think I'm going to call on him more because I really haven't that often since that writing. He's here and ready.
Sounds like it.
Spirit is
and that means you're lifting the whole family system into a whole new way of functioning.
Yes. Wow.
The whole family system. Your dad, your mom.
Yeah.
This
and all of
this right here. Yeah. This right here is what was called praying for the dearly departed in the ancient teachings. Right. This work you're doing, that is praying for the dearly departed, being the space of love to bring that healing to the whole generational package.
Wow,
the words,
so much joy.
Go for it. You might look up on YouTube. You might want to look up a song. It's called "You Can Relax Now."
Yes, one of my favorite songs.
Powerful. Yeah, it's powerful.
One of I have listened to it a number of times since that.
Yeah. You had a dream. You misunderstood. You thought we were separate.
Yeah.
And the Creator says, for now you hear my voice, and you can relax now. Come on and open your eyes. See clearly now. I am with you. You are the love of my life. You are my own creation, and that will always be.
And that will always be.
Yeah. Take that one to the bank.
I think I should play the song for myself every day.
I fully agree. That's a powerful message.
Actually, I think everyone would be good with that one, but that's definitely special. Those were certainly guided lyrics, weren't they?
Oh,
I mean,
so powerful, so sweet the way she sings them.
Yes. Okay. Wow.
And of course,
wonderful.
the other song that goes hand in hand with that we've obviously sang in intensives when somebody's in the middle of their muddle is the one that says, "How could anyone ever tell you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you were less than holy?"
Yeah. That song came to me the night that Patrick passed and made his transition. And I swear we sang it together. And I definitely had this image of singing it to the baby Patrick. You know, the part
Sweet.
of all of us, the young part that was hurt so early on, and now he gets to heal every bit of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, those
Definitely
are two beautiful
time. It's definitely time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, thank you, Michael. Terrific. I'm glad I
Honored
glad I
and
called.
delighted.
Yeah. Thank you. Me too.
Joining you in releasing everything that's been locked in bone.
Yes. Yes, bone and muscles,
Yeah.
and
Fist, jaw,
nerves, and yeah.
gut, all of it. Time to let go.
Time to let go. Let go and be love.
Hey.
I had Debbie's on. You've got to go pretty soon, don't you? I just wanted to share that it became so clear to me. I'll have to doing some worksheets earlier that I have a choice to make in terms of my beliefs. I can, because one of my things, as well as many others, is to try to gain approval and therefore feel better about ourselves and myself. And the outcome of that is, trying to be perfect to gain approval is ridiculous,
right,
because we can never ever be perfect. So on my little chalkboard that I have right above my sink, I wrote, you have a choice. You can try to be a perfect doing or a perfect being.
Mm-hmm.
Dash love. So
I'm with you.
I'm reminded. Yeah. Okay, kiddo. Thank you. I will wish you a wonderful weekend.
Yeah.
And
you can relax now.
I can relax, and you can relax.
Yeah.
We can all relax. Lovely. Okay.
Come on and close your eyes and gently go into sleep when it's time, and love it and enjoy it.
Yes.
Because you're
Let
safe.
it nourish you. Yes. Very good.
And be aware
Mm-hmm.
that as you, with this conversation, as you tap into all of that there may be some healing crisis to come. There may be some memories surface from times when in sleep there was some sort of an assault that took place. And some of those memories may come up out of your physiology to be processed out, and if they do, just remember that you can relax now, see clearly, and move through it.
I hadn't thought about anything of that nature. What I am aware of is the scary thought that I was given by my aunt to when I asked, what does it mean to die? And her response was, it's people just go to sleep and they don't wake up. And so my resistance to sleep has the resistance to dying. And very, very off base kind of thinking. Like, if I stay awake, then death can get me.
Right.
So I've been working with that.
So how about a quick mind shifter?
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's safe and healing for me to die.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I can. Yeah.
And I may choose to heal instead.
Ooh, I like it.
Yay.
When you did the first part, I could feel stuff starting to move already. So
good. Perfect.
Okay. I'll do that.
All right, dear heart. You have a blessed one. Lots of love.
Lots of love to you.
Bye-bye.
Right.
And Miss Jeannie, seeing as how we had 3 people who had input on the picture, Magda and Nene and Audrey, let's go ahead and give each of them
and Linda
the
Westman
gift of the
had
prize.
responded,
and
Linda Westman, I think she had responded in the WhatsApp group.
Great. So let's give all 4 of them the prize.
Okay. All righty.
All right. All right, everybody. Everybody have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings.